Are you surprised the smart meter issue has had as much leg as it has? It seems to not be going away very quickly, and sometimes I sit back and think, how long can they keep up with these issues?
I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, these other revelations keep coming out, the issue with the timelines, the issue with the 400 metres in Hanley that were installed. Now we're looking at when officials went down to Philadelphia. When did they know about these fires? I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon.
Is it because it literally hits close to home? Something that was on your house that could have potentially caught on fire, that people really see this as being something to be more concerned about than maybe normal?
I think so. I mean, these things caught fire, you know. It's kind of a concerning issue, I suppose, for a lot of people. It didn't happen to a lot of people, but people look at it more like, well, it could have happened to me. It could have been my house. It could have been my family. It could have been my smart meter that, you know, caught fire. And I think the NDP are just going to keep on hammering, trying to get Minister Boyd's head on this issue, to be frank.
What in the report do you think surprised the people, would have surprised the people the most, if they had just read it on their own without sort of our overview? What do you think would have basically really caught their eye and saying, oh gee, you know, this is something that maybe was a bigger concern than I thought it was?
I was surprised with how frank the report was, to be completely honest with you. Yeah. Also, using the term catastrophic failure, I mean, that's a very dramatic term. Yeah. Whether or not it's too dramatic, one might argue, but I mean, just how much detail this report went into, and just the notion of there not being a single person who seemed to be in charge of this whole project, I think, is probably worrying for a lot of people. Yeah,
catastrophic caught my eye too, because there were so many people in the early going, particularly party supporters, that sat back and said, oh, what are you guys making such a big fuss for? It's 8 out of 200,000 meters or 300,000 meters. It can't be that big a deal. You guys are just looking for something that isn't there. Mm-hmm. Evidently, that wasn't the case in terms of the specialists, the technologists that looked at this and said this should not be happening, even at that rate of frequency, with that kind of outcome.
In 2 months.
In 2 months.
There are 8, possibly 9, depending on how you want to classify the fires, right? That's a fair number.
I'm still not of the mind whether Boyd could have done more or not, though. I'm still struggling with that issue as to where ministerial responsibility starts and ends. I actually think that he, in some ways, got too involved by basically saying we're taking them out at this point. If there's an argument of what the minister didn't do right, it was properly appoint people that could handle the situation correctly. But was he too involved, or was he just not involved enough, do you think?
I think that the minister, he keeps bringing up the argument, we did what SaskPower advised us to do. With hindsight, we would have done things differently. He did say that today. Should he have been more involved? Well, how involved do you want a minister to be? Mm-hmm. Do you want them to get in there and roll up their sleeves and micromanage things? But at the same time,
it's a problem I'm having, yeah.
They are responsible. It's called the minister responsible for SaskPower. So you're right. That's a very good question that I think possibly will keep being a discussion.
And keep the thing going. I don't know either, and I don't really know how to answer that. I'm not left with any level of satisfaction that they did what we always call as the due diligence, that they actually pressured the corporation to make sure public safety was kept first. And though they keep hammering on that as the reason Robert Watson was fired, did the minister and the government do
resigned.
enough? Yeah,
Murray.
Yeah, yes, resigned. Was asked to resign nicely. Was that the case? And I don't know, but I think really that the government is going. This story is, if it's going to keep having legs, it's because the government is not giving the fullest explanation it can.
It does seem like there is still something to come out on this, to be honest. It's still a burning issue, shall we say?
Okay, let's hope not, Emma.